Chances are, if you're watching this, you're probably able to buy a membership. But maybe you want to try out the game first to see if you like it, or maybe you're not able to buy membership just yet. Either way, I'm going to be starting off with some of the core goals that you should get done first, and then I'm going to move on to some more late game free-to-play content that you can aim for, and I'll finish the video up with some tips and tricks. So, first things first, you want to start by completing every single quest in free-to-play. This is essentially the storyline of the game, but by doing this you also unlock new areas, equipment, weapons, and training methods. And if for some reason you're not interested in those rewards, quests are still going to save you time in the long run, simply because of the XP rewards that you can gain from them. A good example would be Dragon Slayer. This will give you a massive XP drop of 18k strength and 18k defense XP, which can instantly boost both levels from level 1 to level 33, saving you hours of your time. And then once you get into members worlds, you'll want to carry on your questing spree for the exact same reasons. Now, you may be trying to figure out which order to do the quests in and where to start them, so I recommend checking the pinned comment where I'll link you to a wiki page which solves both problems, and it even has full written guides for each individual quest too. If you're playing on desktop, I'd also recommend using the RuneLite client if you're not already. You can get this from the Jagex launcher, and it basically allows you to install plugins that help with gameplay. And the reason I bring this one up is simply just because of the Quest Helper plugin. This highlights everything in game and shows you how to solve the quests. If you check the settings for the plugin, you can also customize just how much assistance you'd like. And the last tip I have for questing is that you can hold down the spacebar to skip dialogue if you want to, and you can also use the number keys to select dialogue options. If you haven't done it already, the next goal should be the Stronghold of Security. You can find this inside a cave entrance at Barbarian Village, or there's also a one-time free teleport to get here by talking to Count Check in the Lumbridge Graveyard. There's a set of 4 dungeons, and when you run past all of the aggressive mobs to get to the center, you earn a cash prize on each floor, as well as a set of boots on the final floor. Now, let's talk about skills, and we're going to start off with combat stats. So for melee, you want to go for level 40 in attack, strength, and defense. This will allow you to equip and wield all of the best in slot items that free-to-play has to offer. So full rune, a rune scimitar, the Baronite mace, as well as the best in slot skilling items, the rune axe and the rune pickaxe. I'd also go for 40 range so that you're able to equip the green D-hide set and the maple shortbow with adamant arrows. But for magic, I'd personally recommend getting to level 55. This is going to unlock all of the main free-to-play teleports for you to all of the major towns, but more importantly, it's going to unlock High Alchemy, or High Alch for short. This is one of the best spells in the game. It takes 1 nature rune and either 5 fire runes or a fire staff for each cast, and it'll turn items into coins. This makes it one of the most powerful spells if you know how to use it. You can buy certain items from other players or on the Grand Exchange and high alch them for profit and start snowballing your early game cash stack. It's one of the more solid money makers in free to play, but not only that, you can cast this spell whilst doing other things in game too. So you can be high alching whilst running around questing, or you could be alching whilst training your melee combat stats if you get the timing right. Plus, once you become a member, you have access to even more profitable items, and you could do this whilst training the member skills too, like agility or sailing for example. Again, if you check the pinned comment, I'll leave a link to a website that checks live prices and shows the most profitable items to alch. The last combat stat to talk about is Prayer, but this is a little bit of a tricky one. I don't actually recommend training this at all in free to play if you're planning to become a member. You'll get a few levels from quests, but there's just no good way to train this in free to play at the moment. And to give you a little bit of perspective, in Members Worlds, you can use a set of Dragon Bones on a Gilded Altar for 252 XP, which would be the equivalent of burying around 17 Big Bones, which these days is even more expensive. If you really want to train this, then get to level 43. This unlocks all of the protection prayers, which will become super handy for late game free to play or members worlds. And one tip I do have though is you can bury bones in between hits whilst attacking a monster, just like you can with alching. Alright, so let's move on to skilling now. For mining, I'd recommend getting to level 41 so you're able to equip a rune pickaxe. This will also be a decent level to start Motherlode Mine in Members Worlds, which is a semi-AFK method and lets you collect tons of ore and unlock the skilling outfit. For wood cutting, I highly recommend getting to level 61 so that you can cut yew trees in free to play and equip the Dragon Axe in Members Worlds. This skill isn't really that much different in Members Worlds until the higher levels. There are teak trees in Members Worlds at level 35, but unless you're doing some nerdy tick manipulation, they're not that much faster than willows when you're just chilling and chopping logs. Next is my personal favourite skill, fishing. Level 35 will unlock the fishing boss Temperos in Members Worlds, which is a great way to level up and get some nice unlocks. But if you want to focus on the free-to-play unlocks, then get to level 50 so that you're able to fish for swordfish, one of the best healing foods in free-to-play. I'd also go for 50 fire making, as this is going to unlock the other skilling boss in Members Worlds, Wintertop. It's really similar to Temperos, and you get a bunch of free supplies, cash, and unlocks from it. Once you get to level 45 fire making, you can actually buy maple logs off of the Grand Exchange in Free Worlds for super cheap, and it'll level the skill incredibly fast. A small tip that I have for this one is that if you find burning logs in a line really annoying to do, then you can create a bonfire instead. You basically throw the logs onto an existing fire, and it'll slowly take the rest of them from your inventory and burn them for you automatically. It's slower XP, but AFK, and players can also sit and chill at the fire too, which is nice. For crafting, if you've done all of the quests already, then make a few leather items until you can make unfinished gold amulets. This is a decent low requirement moneymaker in free to play, and most other pieces of jewelry are usually profit at higher levels too, but you'll have to check prices. Level 43 is a good goal for crafting, which will allow you to cut diamonds. Next up is cooking, and this is one of the rare times where free-to-play has access to one of the more efficient methods, which is making wine. You do lose money on this, but you can get up to 500,000 XP an hour if you're paying attention. If you don't want to lose money, then a good spot for fishing and cooking is the spot by Barbarian Village, unlocked at level 20. You need a fly fishing rod with some feathers, and there's a permanent fire here so you can cook all of the fish too. Just make sure to drop them all on the floor when you're done so that you can focus on leveling up really fast. A decent goal for cooking is level 70, which does sound quite high, but it is one of the faster skills. Level 70 is also the level needed for Recipe for Disaster, which is one of the Grandmaster quests in Members Worlds, which unlocks Barrow's Gloves, which is a very nice goal to eventually go for. For smithing, hopefully you did the Knight Sword quest to boost from level 1 to 29, but then after doing that quest, go for level 35. This will allow you to smelt steel cannonballs in Members Worlds, which is a decent AFK moneymaker, but more importantly, will also be the level required to create a bone mace, which is the second best in slot item to kill Scurious. It's one of the beginner bosses in Members Worlds, and it's a fantastic melee training method. There's also rune crafting, but just like prayer, I don't recommend training this one in free to play. You'd be way better off waiting until you have membership. But if you are looking to boost your total level up a little bit, then level 30 would be a good stopping point. Some people like the skill, most people hate it. And if you find yourself wanting to speed it up, then you can make tiaras instead of runes. You'll lose money, but it will be much faster. So that's your core goals, but there's still a good amount of content to complete in the free worlds. First up are the 3 bosses you can face in free to play, the newest of which is Brutus. This is the easiest boss in the game, and you can find him in the Lumbridge Cowl Pen after completing the quest Ides of Milk. It'll teach you some basic dodge mechanics which will be useful later on, and free to play only has access to one of the drops from Brutus, which is the Muleta, an offhand defender which gives a little bit of strength bonus. The next two bosses are the giant ones, Obor and Bryophyter. The loot table for both are quite decent, they drop rune equipment, but really you're trying to get their two uniques. The Hill Giant Club, which is a nice crush weapon, as well as the Bryophyter's Staff, which is the best drop you can get, and as of recording, it's currently worth about 4 million GP. If you're lucky enough to get these drops, you may see a little collection log box pop up, which leads me on to the next bit of content that you could work on. If you have a completionist mindset or simply enjoy seeing a number go up, then you could start collecting all of the unique drops that the game has to offer. There's a whole bunch available to collect in free to play, which I'll link in the comments. Whilst doing almost anything in game, you're gonna start getting clue scrolls, and in the free world you have access to beginner clues. And whilst most of the loot is pure trash, there's a whole bunch of uniques to get as well, like the shoulder parrot, ornament kits for the rune simi, or mole slippers, which are currently going for around 300k. Another way to get more log slots is by going back to the Stronghold of Security. There's a unique drop on each level that drops from very specific mobs, and when you combine all of them together, you get the Skull Scepter, which when charged allows you to teleport straight to the center of Barbarian Village above the stronghold. Just make sure that when you get the scepter, you take it to Saltson, who's on the very last floor of the stronghold. He's going to imbue it, and that basically means that it's not going to crumble to dust after a few uses. If you'd like to try some PvP and not lose any of your items, then you could try Castle Wars, which you can teleport to by talking to the NPCs near the Grand Exchange. Or you can use the minigame teleport as well. You can earn tickets here, which can be spent on some unique armor, which are also log slots. You also have the gold decorative boots, which are actually the best in slot items for free to play as well. Another option for safe PvP is Last Man Standing, which you can get to by using the Clan Wars minigame teleport. This actually lets you test out member weapons, different spellbooks, and equipment. It also boosts all of your stats inside the minigame too, so everyone is on an even playing field. Something else that you could look into is shooting stars. Every so often, a meteorite crashes somewhere on the map, and you can mine them for stardust. It's a nice way to get AFK mining XP, although the XP is halved for free to play. You also can't spend the dust either until you become a member, but when you do, you can unlock the Celestial Ring, which boosts mining, or Star Fragments, which trims the mining skilling set, both of which are also collection logs. Or if you'd prefer, you can just cash out on a bunch of uncut gems and clay packs. I'll leave a link for a Discord which tracks all of the crash stars too. Once you finish the Below Ice Mountain quest, you'll unlock a new area, Camp Dozel. It has a few unique training methods, and there's a bunch of collection logs that you can go for too. There's also Corsair Cove, which unlocks after the Corsair Curse quest. This place has Ogress Shamans, which have one of the best consistent loot tables in free worlds. It's a decent money maker for those wanting to train up their combat stats. The last stretch goal that I'd recommend are just some higher levels. If you see yourself staying in free-to-play worlds for a little bit, then 750 total level is a great one to go for. You'll unlock a few new servers to log into, which are usually free of bots, and you could also go for base 60s in your combat stats so that you're able to equip dragon weapons and tools. Plus, at 60 defense, you'd be able to equip dragon armor, but also obsidian armor. Obsidian has a special set effect which gives 10% accuracy and strength, making it a real good choice for training melee stats AFK later on. The last goal, and probably the end goal for all free-to-play players, is to go for a bond. You can buy this at the Grand Exchange with in-game GP, and once you redeem it, you get 2 weeks of free membership. At which point, if you play for a couple of hours a day and you know what you're doing, you could easily maintain your membership for free by doing all of the new moneymakers in Members Worlds, which are usually way better than the free-to-play moneymakers. I'm going to have a video out in the future which goes over some of the easy money makers you could do to either get a bond or to maintain one. So if you're enjoying this guide, then do subscribe. The next tip that I have is really underrated in my opinion, and I'd recommend you find a clan to join. The RuneScape community is usually very welcoming to new players, and you'll easily be able to find a few people who would love to guide and help you out. The official OSRS Discord has a section for finding a clan, so I'd start there, and I'm going to leave an invite link for it in the pinned comment too. Once you do join a clan, you can talk to the clerk in the southeast corner of the Grand Exchange for a free clan cape. You may also get access to the clan hall, which is a little social place, and it also has a private bank too. I'd also highly recommend setting up F keys. This allows you to switch between your inventory, prayer, and magic tabs really quickly. You won't be using it much in free to play, but do try to get used to using them, as you'll thank me later when you get to higher level PVM. You can find the F keys in settings. I use F1 for inventory, F2 for prayer, and F3 for spellbook, and then I allow escape to close menus quickly. Also, because you aren't able to train agility in free to play, you're going to be walking around a lot. So to fix this, you can buy energy potions on the Grand Exchange, which boosts your run energy a little bit. You can also use the Clan Wars minigame teleport every 20 minutes, which sends you to the Ferox Enclave, and there's a small pool here that you could drink from that'll heal you, as well as restore your prayer and your run energy. Just make sure not to leave the barriers, as you'll fall into the PvP section of the map, and you'll very likely lose everything that you have on you. If you're training your melee stats, then you should always be drinking strength potions, which you can buy on the Grand Exchange for quite cheap. This will make it so that you hit a little bit harder, and it'll boost your overall XP gains. Now, if you'd like to hear about some more money makers, or watch me complete all of these goals from scratch and go more in depth, then watch this next video. I'd like to give a gigantic thank you to my incredibly patient channel members. At the benefactor tier, Dustis and Crimson, and at the supporter tier, Kyle Henry, Scooter McGavin 2, Tom, Ciotos, and Hamrick the Epic. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you in the next one.